Valve just gave us some new info on the Steam Machine's release date, and it's both encouraging and potentially disappointing depending on how things shake out. How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is Deck Ready, my channel all about Steam hardware. I hope you are having a great week, weekend, whatever you want to call it. It's Friday, so I'm going to call it the weekend, playing a ton of video games. I was actually about to start my second playthrough of Resident Evil Requiem, and then my phone starts buzzing, and it turns out that on the back end of Steam, for the Steam Machine, the Steam Frame, and the Steam Controller, all of the release date sections for all three of those devices got updated from unknown to coming soon, which was immediately like super exciting, right? I tweeted out a screenshot. I was like, coming soon? Does that mean in the next month? Does that mean in the next couple of months? And then just a few minutes later, Valve posted their 2025 year in review post. It's really good. It's really interesting, but obviously I skipped right to the hardware section because that's where the meat of what I wanted to know is. And I'm just going to read you this quote before I talk about anything else related to this info. So what they say specifically is, we hope to ship in 2026, but as we shared recently, memory and storage shortages have created challenges for us. We'll share updates publicly when we finalize our plans. So first of all, if we're going by the same rules as last time, based on the wording, that could be considered another micro delay. So like last time, they shifted it from early 2026 to before June in 2026. So like the first half of 2026. And now they're saying we still hope to ship in 2026. So they did change their wording, and I don't know how much you want to read into this. Valve is a smaller company. They've got like real people writing this stuff up. It's not as like official as what would happen at like a live service developer or something, where they probably send these updates through like multiple rounds of people scrutinizing every single character of these huge posts to make sure they don't give people hope that their game might turn around and actually be good, or they'll charge a fair price for DLC or something like that. So from that perspective, it could just be a slip up. But also on the other hand, I wish they were a little bit more careful and kept it as the first half of 2026, because I don't really know what's going to happen with this memory shortage situation, but I've been reading into it a lot, and the more info I read, the worse I feel about it, right? Like AI data centers are never going to stop needing RAM. They're never going to stop needing storage. And for all the doomerism around AI, like I don't love AI. I don't love the situation we're in. I watch the stock market pretty close, and with companies like Broadcom, Nvidia, AMD, right before they're about to do their earnings call, it feels like everyone's selling all their stock because they don't believe in AI. And then suddenly the earnings call comes out and they've done better than the last quarter by even their projections. The stock price shoots back up and the cycle repeats. So like whether it's profitable or not, I don't think anyone can say, because if you look into how all these companies are set up, like they're all buying from each other, and it's like a big cyclical sort of market that they've created. So like they are profitable from that sense, but like no one can really say right now if whether or not these companies are successful. That's what I'm trying to say. So with that in mind, I don't know if and when this RAM crisis is going to clear up. And honestly, if I was Valve, I think the right move is to just eat the cost a little bit. And the reason I say that is because for a short while, the prices were definitely climbing day over day. Like if you checked at 8 p.m. one night, the price would be different at 8 a.m. the next morning, and it would most likely be more expensive. But right around January, towards the middle of the month or the beginning of February, the price increases sort of plateaued and stayed where they're at. So like, yes, they could increase more in the near future, and I'm sure that's what Valve is worried about. And they still have to compete with companies like Apple or anyone else who's trying to get RAM. But in the short term, they have this hardware ready, and the longer they hold on to it, the more quote unquote obsolete it's going to become, right? Microsoft just announced the new Xbox, the Project Helix, which is a PC console hybrid, and they were pretty clear that they want that thing to come out next year. So whether Sony was thinking about delaying or not, I don't think they're going to let a scenario exist where Xbox releases their next generation hardware first and gets even some people potentially to jump ship for a PC-centric ecosystem. And they're clearly worried about PC. They're clearly worried about the Steam Machine because they're pulling back on their first-party PC games. So I think it behooves Valve to really take all of this stuff into account and get this thing out as quick as possible. So if that means subsidizing the price a little bit to get in a fair price point, to get it out sooner, I think it's more than worth it for them to do it, because as I just said, the longer they wait, the less relevant the parts they're using really are, and they don't want to be in the situation where they hit a good price point, but it's suddenly seen as last gen hardware. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't envy them. I don't know what I would do in that situation, but at the very least, I would at least consider subsidizing the cost of it at least a little bit, because whether they like it or not, they're kind of dipping their toe into the console ecosystem waters with this thing by making a living room PC that you can turn on with a controller. And up until recent times, I mean, every console out there was sold at a loss with the intention of making up the money on the back end. And any way you slice it, Valve is trying to kind of have it both ways, where they can make money on the Steam machine while also raking it in on Steam. So if they want to play in the console space, they might have to play by console rules, and what that would involve is eating the cost a little bit on the hardware to make it back later on the software. And the benefit they have is that while you can download the Heroic Game Launcher and buy games through GOG or Heroic, I mean, I feel like 99% of the people who buy Steam hardware are more than happy, legitimately happy on top of that, to just use Steam to buy all their games. So unlike Xbox, who's going to release hardware that people are immediately going to start buying Steam games on, which gets them nothing, Valve is the dream scenario where people actually like using their storefront to buy games on their hardware. So I think they'd be just fine if they chose to subsidize the cost a little bit and eat some of it on their end. But of course, I'm not discounting the risk that they could release it and then the prices on these parts could go up even more and they can't source them anymore. And then they're confronted with the opportunity to raise the price of the hardware again, which I'm sure they don't want to do. So the more I talk about it, the more I understand where they're coming from, kind of pushing this stuff back. But if they really want to build goodwill with people, they should just release the controller. I get that it's great for the Steam machine, but it's also great for the Steam Deck. It's also great for regular PCs, and these are obviously made. Like, as far as I'm aware, there's no RAM or storage in the controller. So like, while there might be one component that they're having difficulty sourcing, I'd imagine that it's a lot easier to source the parts for the controller than it is for the Steam frame or the Steam machine. So like, if they wanted to build goodwill, they could just release the controller and everything would be copacetic. I'd imagine that the people at Valve are pretty frustrated right now with this whole situation because they held off so long on announcing this stuff until all three products were ready: the Steam machine, the Steam frame, and the Steam controller. And then bam, a few days literally after these things are announced, it's like, whoa, we woke up and everything's 10 times more expensive and there's no end of this in sight. But hopefully things resolve quickly enough that we still get it in 2026. I still firmly believe we'll see it before the middle of the year. They know that people are excited. And I think they saw data that suggested that, you know, once they announced that initial delay, interest kind of went down a little bit. But the competition is still moving. They do have to face the same problems. They do have a lot more money. So it's a really interesting environment that we're in right now. But yeah, I'm choosing to look at this positively because I've been playing Resident Evil on my SteamOS PC. Not Bazite, not Cashy, legitimate SteamOS, and the experience has been top to bottom absolutely phenomenal. I downloaded the game before it came out. Right at midnight, it switched from preload to play. I booted it up. I set it to max settings. I had zero issues or frame rate fluctuations throughout the entire game. It looked absolutely phenomenal. And that sleep mode, man, that sleep mode came in so clutch with this game, where instead of using an ink ribbon to save as grace, I could literally just put the PC in sleep mode and pick up right where I left off. So I got through the game only using a few ink ribbons, which helped with achievement completion, and my overall playtime ended up being shorter because of it. It is a bummer that I have to use the keyboard to turn on the computer. On the other hand, I'm getting 99% of the experience, and it's just making me so much more excited for this hardware. So I hope they can figure it out. I hope that was just like a change up of the wording, but yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Regardless, I think they need to start showing this thing off more. Start backing up your stats that, you know, this thing has no problem running games. That would go a long way. This whole cadence of announcing it, then disappearing and only coming back to announce a delay, it's getting a little old. Like, I get why they're being quiet, but there's no reason for it. You have the hardware finished, start showing it off. Unless you're going to meaningfully upgrade the parts that are in it, there's no reason not to start showing it off. And yeah, that's just how I feel about the whole situation. So it's encouraging for sure. It's just a little bit disappointing because seeing that it was coming soon got me really excited. And then seeing them switch up their wording to say, we're hoping to release it by the end of 2026, that was a little bit deflating. So I guess I'm right back where I started. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you in today's video. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching and shape on.